All right, I got some input on my last video. However, someone asked a really good question, and although I responded to him in the comment section, I think making a video about it here would be great as well. So, for context, in my last video, I essentially was talking about how modern Christian rap is often adopting the culture and the language and the aesthetics and the style from hip hop, which I obviously think is very problematic, right? And so the question that was asked was, well, Anaya, when Christian rap artists are using terms or language like guns in their song or straps in their song, or they're using language like sets in their song or gangs in their song, isn't it just a metaphor for the spiritual sword that that scripture talks about, right? Or isn't it just parallel to spiritual warfare, right? That's a great question. But I want to clarify something. My concern is not with the metaphor itself. Okay, so yes, I'm aware that people use that language to symbolize the spiritual sword that Ephesians 6 talks about. I'm aware that they use it to symbolize spiritual warfare. But what I'm addressing is why the language is being used in the first place. So this is not a metaphor issue, this is a language issue. For an example, in most gospel songs, people are talking about the spiritual sword and they're talking about spiritual warfare directly. They don't feel the need to mention the term gun or strap in their songs to get the point across. So what I'm asking is, why do some artists feel the need to use the same cultural language from street culture in a genre of music that's supposedly set apart from the rest of the world? Right? So calling it a metaphor doesn't automatically mean it's spiritually sound. It doesn't mean that it's spiritually depth, right? The language still carries a cultural code. And that code is tied to violence. It's tied to pride. It's tied to this identity that's rooted in the flesh, not in the spirit. That's what I'm challenging. So I just want Christian rap artists to be more cognizant and to be more aware of the language that they're using in their songs, especially when we're talking about a genre that's underneath the umbrella of gospel music. This is the gospel that we're talking about. So be mindful about the language that you're using when you're spreading the gospel. And I'll end off with this. I want to ask a question. This was the biggest question that I asked in the letter. At what cost are people wanting to be known as someone that's metaphorically sound? You know what I'm saying? Like, at what cost are people wanting to be good, to be a good lyricist? At what cost are people wanting to show others that they're sound and that they have this depth to them? Like, I just don't think it's worth the cost. I think we need to reevaluate what we're paying in order for people to see us as somebody that's metaphorically depth. Someone that's really good at lyrics, right? At writing music. I just don't think it's worth the cost. So again, this is not a metaphor issue. This is a language issue. Let's reevaluate the language that we're using in Christian music.